And listen, listen, I get we're going through this, but I don't know. I don't know what the answers are.
In all things, we have to make decisions.
Some of it's just really frustrating.
In all things, Jamie, you're right. This is very frustrating. But in all things, we should always consider what's best for the people of the United States of America, the men, the women, and children that make up our nation. Their safety and health comes first, and then business concerns and capitalism second. I sort of reject your premise that we so worship capitalism that we have to embrace that at the expense of human safety.
Rick, I don't know if I agree with that. I mean,
you don't have to. That's just my statement. And I
understand, but under normal circumstances, our government does not act like you're describing. Under this pandemic, they've said, okay, we're in an emergency. We're going to act like we care. We're going to act like we have sympathy. We're going to act like we're going to give money out and care about these people. They don't. Every day, tragedy to humans happens. They're bleeding, dying, and the government's throwing fucking people in jail for marijuana. This is the reality we live in. So the idea that they're going to somehow be our mother and breastfeed us and bring us to fucking health again is a problem for me. I don't accept that, and I have very little faith that they're going to be able to function in the other side of it. They've proven just in this urgent time of the need to get the money from the federal feds to the states for small business, it hasn't happened yet. How many, we're going to the second month.
But I love you, Michael, but if you're so critical of the government's operation on a day-to-day basis prior to this crisis, then clearly you're not looking at government and giving them a fair shake when you evaluate their performance during this crisis. And look, as a drug war advocate, we've all seen the government do heinous things. We've seen people put in jail that shouldn't have been there. We've seen children ripped from their mother's breasts. We've seen heinous things none of us should have to have dealt with. So we believe in the government's ability to screw you badly. But at some point, there has to be some faith that there are people inside our government are actually working on our best behalf. I look at Fauci. I like this guy. I look at the people that are getting fired by Trump. I like those people that are getting fired by Trump. But
me too.
We have to have some sort of faith in the system. If we just say the system's always going to screw us, then that's a pretty bleak outlook as a human, my brother.
Yeah. In a slightly different perspective, not even faith. There's an objective truth here of the pandemic, and the response by government's been appropriate.
Okay, listen to me.
Maybe there's a chance right
something
here.
Completely different. The idea that I should have faith in our government is a for me it's not a
you don't have to have faith in the government, but maybe people, because we can change it. And this is an opportunity with this pandemic. It's an opportunity for us to all step up and figure out a way to change the basic way things have been operating.
That's different. That's different than what's being said here. Having faith in the existence of what's happening is something completely different. I agree with you, because really what I'm seeing from this pandemic, if we're not all seeing, is that it has exposed how terrible our fucking government is. How awful we've been governing ourselves. How all these terrible things are taking place that are being exposed now. The number of cases that aren't really essential, that just go ahead and fucking don't come to court, we'll see you whenever we decide. The people in jail that just get released. The fact that all of our medical supplies are being built in China so companies can save 2 cents on the dollar, and we can't even get them into the country for the people that aren't affected by the COVID virus. These are problems. This is our government. These are problems that they never thought about. They should be held accountable for. And the idea that they're going to have a solution for me on the other end of this and somehow give a shit about not me, but any of you, any of them, any of the populace, the thing you're talking about, Rick, the people, they don't give a fuck about the people, because we land here today. It's a bit of trail of, we don't give a fuck about you. We give a fuck about corporations.
Michael, everybody that votes in every election everywhere disbelieves what you just said. We all believe that there's a role for us to play in government, and that we participate in government with the expectation that benefit is going to come from us into society. So I know it's difficult, man, in our role, and especially what you've seen as an attorney dealing with this so long. But I mean,
and in this particular situation, you have a governmental response to a scenario that we can identify and substantiate, and it's reasonable based on what we know. If this now, when you say arbitrary, and you're talking about that before, maybe the governor takes some things too far, doesn't do enough somewhere, but generally to respond and to lock things down and to do what it takes to get this under control is not unreasonable. It doesn't mean it's going to last forever.
Mm-hmm.
Jamie and Rick, you guys should have to do some homeschooling for a few months. That's all I'm saying. Just kidding.